Hello and welcome to Cord Cutting Today. If you're losing track of the days right now, it's in fact Thursday, March 26, 2020. My name's Philip Palermo, and before we get to the news today, I just wanted to say really quick, if you're a fan and want to support our work here at Cord Cutters News, feel free to click like and subscribe. Also, if you click that little bell icon, you'll be notified whenever we post content to this channel, which we do on a pretty regular basis. And secondly, I have heard your pleas in the comments, and I can tell you that yes, I am planning to spruce up the background back here. As you can imagine, a lot of us are working from home right now, and I'm still building out the home video studio here, and it's definitely still a work in progress. So stay tuned, we'll get that background looking a lot more interesting soon enough. And with that, let's get on to the news. First up, if you're an AT&T Now subscriber, we have good news for you. Starting today, you'll start getting free access to premium channels like Starz, Epix, HBO, and Cinemax for a limited time. The offer is also available to DirecTV, Uverse, and AT&T TV customers, and it looks to be an effort to encourage customers to stay home during the coronavirus outbreak. At the same time, AT&T will launch a new ad campaign with the hashtag #ConnectedTogether. Now, as for the free premium channels, it's a bit more complicated than simply unlocking access all at once. Instead, AT&T is doing a sort of staggered release schedule throughout March and into April. So here's how that goes. From now until April 4th, DirecTV and Uverse subscribers can get access to Starz. And then Epix will be available to all services that we mentioned earlier from April 4th to the 16th. And then finally, HBO and Cinemax will be available from April 17th to the 20th. Now, Jess has a rundown of the dates and channels in her post on cordcuttersnews.com, and you'll find it linked down below in the video description along with all the stories we're covering today. Speaking of free previews, Comcast has announced its own slate of free premium channel demos for Xfinity X1 and Flex customers. Now we're talking about names like Showtime and Epix and CuriosityStream here. And like AT&T, the idea is to offer up some more content options for households while we're all staying indoors. And this is just my personal opinion here, but I'm sure AT&T, Comcast, and others certainly wouldn't mind if you found yourself enjoying these new channels enough to sign on once the free periods expire. But in the meantime, let's talk about that free access. Again, like the AT&T offers, some of these deals vary depending on what platform you're on. And Jess, once again, has all the details in her post linked below. But here are some of the highlights you can expect. X1 customers will have 30 free days of Showtime, including full access to the channel's lineup. Meanwhile, Flex users will have access to a selection of that content. CuriosityStream will offer 60 days of free access, including 300 documentaries and other series. And DogTV is offering 30 days of access to its dog-related content. And we're told Comcast isn't quite done listing out deals for the near future. So make sure you check back with cordcuttersnews.com, and we'll update you as we learn of more. Speaking of Comcast and free stuff, we also reported that Comcast is offering credits for customers with unlimited data between March 13th, and May 13th. Meanwhile, customers who normally have a data cap in place will have unlimited access during that same time period. Now, we've reported over the past few days and weeks about how a number of broadband providers and telcos have signed on to the FCC's Keep Americans Connected pledge. It's a pledge meant to ensure that residents and small businesses still have access to the internet during the current pandemic. And beyond standard steps like waiving late fees and promising not to terminate service for 60 days, some companies have also thrown in a few more deals and offers. In Comcast's case, they're removing data caps, like we mentioned. And for those who are already paying for unlimited internet without caps, they'll receive a $100 credit during the same time period. Comcast says you won't need to do anything to get this credit, so I'd recommend keeping an eye on your bill in the next few weeks and look out for something called Unlimited Data Credit. And you'll find more details in our story linked down below in the video description. Over at Amazon, the company's continuing to add more content and information on the coronavirus pandemic. Earlier this week, we reported on a free news channel dedicated to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and other members of the U.S. Coronavirus Task Force. And now the company's added more resources in the form of public service announcements produced by the CDC. You should be able to find the new content in a new dedicated row with the rather straightforward title of Centers for Disease Control Public Service Announcements. Now, you should also have access to a number of news channels, both live and curated news clips. You can get to those by clicking on the free apps and trials option and then selecting news. And if you're looking for some content to maybe distract you from all that news, as we reported earlier, Amazon is offering a selection of free kids content for not just Prime customers, but also those with a free Amazon account. Now on to some Roku news, and Luke has a story on Roku opting to take on loans totaling about $69.6 million. Now, the company hasn't announced exactly what that money is for, but we have a few guesses included in Luke's story. It's possible Roku needs the money for an upcoming product launch or some long-term project that it's cooking up. Of course, with production and supply lines around the world being affected by the pandemic, it's possible the company wants to shore up some existing product supply lines. It's unclear at the moment, and there's no guarantee we'll see some announcement or product reveal in the future from Roku where we can definitively say, oh yeah, that's what the money was for. But we'll certainly keep an eye on the company and report back any news. In the meantime, be sure to check out Luke's story at cordcuttersnews.com. In other news, a lot of local libraries have tried to help out during the current situation, including digital downloads to help pass the time while we're all at home. And on the site, we have a story about streaming service Canopy partnering with local libraries to offer free streaming of movies and Canopy Kids. Now it depends on whether or not your local library participates in Canopy services, and typically there's a limit on how many shows or movies you can watch over a period of time. But thanks to partnerships with a number of foundations and organizations, Canopy announced many of its movies will be credit-free at participating libraries. And for a limited time, Canopy Kids, which grants access to content like Arthur and Sesame Street, will not count against your monthly rental limit. Now, Luke has a post with the details, including a link to Canopy's site, where you can find out if your local library is participating in the program, and you can find all that down below in our video description. And last but not least, it's the WWE, which has announced it's getting in on the free content game by offering up a large portion of its back catalog for free for a limited time. To be sure, this isn't all the content WWE has to offer, but it says there are thousands of hours to choose from here. Some of the highlights include access to all previous WrestleMania events, all Royal Rumbles, all the SummerSlams, and all the Survivor Series events. Beyond that, you also have access to NXT TakeOver and NXT UK TakeOver, and a number of other series and shows. As for that limited time period, it's currently a bit unclear how long that period lasts. However, the WWE did mention all this free content is a great way to catch up while you're waiting for the two-day WrestleMania event on April 4th and 5th. The WWE did say, however, that this year's WrestleMania will require a subscription to their WWE Network service. And beyond the two-day split, it's also going to be interesting to see how this year's event plays out. If you haven't heard already, WrestleMania this year will take place without a crowd present, since large gatherings are very much a bad idea right now. So we'll see how the event fares, since it's always featured a rowdy, passionate crowd in the past. For now, though, you should have plenty of wrestling content to keep you busy. And that about wraps up this edition of Cord Cutting Today. As always, for information on all of the stories we talked about today, check out the video description below, where you'll find links to the stories on cordcuttersnews.com. And again, if you like what we're doing here, please do click like and subscribe to join our wonderful community. We'll see you on Friday for more news, but for now, I'm Philip Palermo. Take care.